Namaskar, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Everything Kosher. My name is Mitali Kumar. I am a new podcast host, and a little bit of background on me. I'm a first year medical student at Washington State University, and I'm half Kashmiri on my mother's side. I've only recently joined KOA a bit late at the age of 23 years old, but I have received so much immense support and encouragement from the community in discovering my Kashmiri Pandit heritage. I recently attended the KOA West Coast camp in Seattle a couple of months ago, met many KPs, and learned about the opportunities within KOA youth organization. Now I'm looking forward to working with the podcast team in celebrating those who are promoting and preserving Kashmiri Pandit heritage and culture. Today, I'll be conversing with someone who is doing very impactful work within the community. On the podcast today, I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Anjana Kaul. She is KOA's Zone 5 director and has been an integral member of the work of the Literacy Drive, which, if those listening are unaware, the Literacy Drive is a collection of classes which purpose is to promote and preserve Kashmiri language and culture. Anjana Ji, would you first like to give us a little bit of background on yourself, your journey to the US, and how you got involved in KOA?
Thank you so much, Mitali. I am really honored to have this platform to speak about my journey, about how we are serving the community. And I would like to introduce myself. I am a Kashmiri Pandit girl born in Srinagar, Kashmir. I did my entire schooling in Kashmir till my high school. And in 1989, July, I went to Bombay to pursue a degree in architecture at Sir J.J. College of Architecture, Bombay. It was Bombay at that time. It then later changed to Mumbai. And after that, I went to Delhi to work for a couple of years, got married, and then went to Canada, lived there for 12 years. And I have been living in Austin for 12 years. So I have kind of moved around a lot. Um, my experience was not really my experience of Exodus because I had left the valley just 6 months before the Exodus happened. And unfortunately, I came to know about Exodus in May of 1990. My family didn't tell me.
Mm.
So I was in college and my family had moved in January 20 of 1990. They had moved from Srinagar to Jammu. They had packed everything, whatever could be packed in a car, and they were living in a rental accommodation. At that time, there were no cell phones. My family would call me once a week in my hostel warden's office just to ask me how I was doing, which was Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning. And they had normal conversations with me. It was STD phone calls at that time. Phone calls would not last more than 5, 6 minutes. And they didn't tell me anything. So I thought it was business as usual. And the media didn't portray anything about it. So in May of 1990, when I went back for my vacations, I used to take a train from Bombay to Jammu Tawi and then a flight from Jammu to Srinagar. And my aunt, who used to live in Jammu, would pick me up from the station and I would live with her for a night and then take the flight the next morning. On the train station, I saw my dad waiting for me. And I was very surprised because Daddy hated Jammu. Like he didn't like that place. And I was like, what is my dad doing here? Maybe he's come here for some work or something. It was at the train station. And on my way to home, which was now a rented accommodation in Jammu, that I came to know that they had left the valley and what had happened. And I was shattered. I have two younger sisters. When they told me about that night of how they were all packed, wearing ferens and running shoes and ready to like run if the gate of our home crashed, it I do not like to talk about that too much now, but we all overcame it. My dad was in business. He was basically without work. And to start from scratch when you are in your mid 40s with so much responsibility is not easy for anyone. So that, having said that, I somehow finished my degree. I started working in Delhi. I got married. I moved to Canada. But my association with KOA happened 12 years ago when I moved to Austin. I just fell in love with the Austin community. The KP community of Austin is so welcoming, so nurturing, so helpful. I just got excited being with them. I just wanted to do more. I would talk about doing different initiatives in the community. I would lead different events. It was amazing. We would find new people and we would welcome them in our group. And then suddenly one of my friends said, "Hey, why don't you try for being a zonal director? You're doing so much for the community anyway. Your initiatives are excellent. You have the zest to work. Why don't you do it?" And I did not take this job lightly. I said, I have to do my due diligence before I get into anything. So I called up my predecessors. I called up Miss Renu Vaklu and I said, "Renu, how much time does this take?" And she really encouraged me. She said, "You should do it. It'll give you a sense of accomplishment. You will have this feeling that you are doing something for your community." I called our current president, Archana Kakru. She actually gave me the timeline that this is how much time you need to dedicate for your community to do the job well. I called up, Anita Kaul, who was the past KOA director from Zone 5, Anjali Zucchi, who was the past KOA director from Zone 5. And I made a very good calculated decision that yes, my time, certain amount of my time is now going to be dedicated to my community. And I ran for elections. I won with a good margin. I called up my opponent and the next day and started asking her for advice because I needed help. I knew that I needed help from anywhere and everywhere that I could get. And Miss Madhu Moza was excellent. She helped me pick the chapter president from Houston. She gave me tips about how I should be conducting various initiatives that I shared with her. I can safely say that my zone has been the most promising and the people have been very helpful. Mitali, I can safely say that whosoever I called and asked for help in any way, shape, or form, no one has said no, no one has disappointed me.
Mm.
My election manifesto had three major initiatives that I wanted to accomplish. The first one was language. And you can see that how our language is disappearing. If we don't do anything about it, 15, 20 years down the line, we will just forget it.
Yeah.
I wanted to revive that. That was number one initiative. I wanted to host a national camp in my zone. That was my second point in my manifesto that I wanted to do that. And the third one was to start an elderly drive here, where people who are visiting here are so dependent on their kids for everything and get so bored and isolated. So I wanted to start an initiative for them. So those were my three major initiatives that I had promised the people of my zone. I initially had a town hall. Just when I became the director, in January I had a town hall. I shared all these initiatives with my people and I got excellent response. I made a team of people. Miss Dipti Pandita and Angelica from Dallas are the two leads of the literacy drive. And believe me, we knew nothing. We knew Kashmiri. I can speak in Kashmiri. I can understand it very well, but I had never taught it to anybody. So we were
Mhm.
taking baby steps. We were learning as we were teaching, if you understand
Mhm.
what I mean. So we started having these classes. We started making the material for the classes. We did Zoom calls. Now, on our Zoom calls for the literacy drive are bi-weekly, and we wanted to teach spoken Kashmiri language. Now, these classes are free. We are not charging for these classes. So, any community member, and there is no age bar. If you are 6 and above, you can read, understand, you are welcome to those classes. So, surprisingly, it was not just the kids, it was non Kashmiri speaking spouses also who joined the classes because they wanted to understand and learn.
Wow.
The classes took off very well. Although it was baby steps, we got tremendous response for the classes. And the kids started learning. The good part about our classes was that we were not rigid. Each class was, a whole class on its own. It's not that if you miss one class, you cannot follow what's happening in the next class. They were independent. The material was very interactive, very visual. We had pictures, we had words, and there was a whole team of people doing all this. No one person can do this. It all takes a team. And we really went on and on. And with the language, after 3 language classes, we introduced a cultural class. So, what we would do is we would pick up any one topic about Kashmir, we would bring in a guest teacher and ask them to speak about it. And that went on very well. We had Mr. Subhash Kak talk about yoga. We had Mr. Vidyabhushan Dhar from Canada talk about the influence of Kashmir on the rest of India. We had Miss Anjali Zuchi talk about Martin Temple. So any one element. We had Miss Sunita Tikku from Houston. She talked about the festivals of of our culture. So we had many, and there were youth as well taking these classes. So some of the
Mhm.
youth who know Kashmiri, we would give them the material. We could have told them make the material yourself, but we didn't do that because we wanted some kind of consistency in the material. And it's a
Mhm.
lot of work, but we wanted community to engage. So we had youth take some classes. It was so amazing. We were so happy with the response of the community. And it did two major things. First of all, the kids started learning Kashmiri. And secondly, the community engagement was tremendous. And we ourselves didn't know how much it would scale. The good part about this was that people from other states, not in our zone, but other states heard about it and they started contacting us and saying, can we join these classes?
Yeah.
Because you could start at any time. And we allowed that. There are people from Vancouver and Calgary who joined some classes at some point of time. And our current president, Ms. Archana Kakru, she said from the very beginning, Anjana, take these national, take these classes national. And I was like, we don't know, we are not sure. Let's take baby steps. And we are very happy we did that because we kind of ironed out all the glitches that we could have. You cannot believe it that I thought that I was so well versed in Kashmiri and I know everything. I can speak well. I can converse with it. I can understand. But I understood after working on these classes that my vocabulary is really, really needs some work. The kids would ask me questions, say, "Hey, what is that word called in Kashmiri?" And I didn't know. So
Mm.
I realized that even people who know Kashmiri or think that they know Kashmiri, their vocabulary might not be as good, and even they can benefit from the classes. So we got really excited, and I'm happy to share that we will be taking these classes on a national level from next year onwards. And
Mhm.
I have already talked to Mr. Dilip Tikku, who heads the Heritage Committee, and we will be doing under the KOA Heritage Committee. And it won't be a Zone 5 program anymore. It will be a KOA national program now.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that is my journey about how I became the director and how I took the literacy drive
Mm-hmm.
to a national level.
Yeah.
The other part was the camp. We wanted to
Mm-hmm.
host the camp. I went to the board in January and I said, my zone wants to host this camp because we've never had a national camp in Zone 5.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the board was really very, very, cooperative. And we did a very successful national camp in Colorado this year. I had an excellent team. I have around 7 to 8 chapter presidents. I've made a few recently. I made some at the camp. And we pulled the camp together. It was the first time that we were doing the camp, and it was a great success. And
Mm-hmm.
we're very happy with the number of people who came, number of people who attended, number of people who volunteered, and number of people who performed. There were many people who come and said that we have never seen such a great cultural program in any KOA camp before, because the cultural team was super excellent.
Wow.
And I'm also happy to share about the elderly drive. We started a couple of months ago and we already have had 2 sessions. One was in person and one is a Zoom session. And that is in Austin. Again, we are doing baby steps. And we have all these elderly people who come and who talk about. The first session was just introducing themselves and telling us about what they feel. And in the future, we are going to do a lot of initiatives with them. We've already planned, some ideas that we have around the elderly drive, and we will be carrying them in the future.
Wow. That's so awesome. There's so many things that you've talked about that I kind of want to acknowledge. First off, your journey to the US. I think every time I hear about Kashmiri Pandit's journey, I think it's just so inspirational. It's also, I acknowledge that it's hard to share the stories from Exodus too. I know my mom personally doesn't talk much about it, so but I think it's important to highlight those experiences if you feel comfortable doing so. And then hearing about your work and how you've gotten involved is inspirational for people like me who are up and coming in the KOA community too. Hearing how you became a member to now a Zone 5 director, and now you have these initiatives and you're promoting the language and literacy, and you're having such great success and support from the community, and really um, taking this nationwide is is so impressive, so awesome, and um, great to
The,
hear
the
about.
good
Mm-hmm.
the good part about this is the results that we are seeing. The other day I was just talking to somebody, and this little child, and I'm going to take names because they are part of this literacy drive group. Kian,
Yes.
he's Arti Kaul's son, and Arti Kaul just took a trip to Kashmir, and his grandfather is on our senior drive. He was telling me, Anjana Ji, we took Kian to Martin Temple, Martin Sun Temple, and we didn't know anything about it. We just said, let's go to Martin Sun Temple. We were just taking a trip there. And the moment we landed and we entered the temple, he said, I know everything about this temple. In the literacy drive, they showed us pictures, they talked about the temple. And this 7, 8-year-old kid is now
Mm-hmm.
telling his mother and his grandfather what he learned in that literacy class and what is the history of this temple. And and it was just so, I was just so happy to hear that. I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
if that kid remembers the temple and now he has gone and seen it and he knows information about that temple, it just fulfills our whole mission of
Mm-hmm.
promoting our culture. He remembers it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that must have been so gratifying to see the work.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And especially I have these mothers who send me these small texts. They say, Anjana, we are asking our kids, how are you doing? And he wrote back in Kashmiri saying, Buchus Khosh. So they send me these texts and say, this is because of your literacy drive that our son is replying to us in Kashmiri.
Mm,
These are these small things that,
mhm,
really make you believe that, what you are doing will produce results and you will reach your goal. You will preserve your language and your culture, and these kids will recognize that. So
mhm,
our efforts are really going to be fruitful.
mhm. Yeah, wow, that's so amazing. I'm getting inspired myself. I feel like I need to start watching these videos and
We
knowing.
do have actually all our classes are on uploaded on YouTube. As I said,
Mhm,
all our classes are independent of each other. So, for example, one lesson will be only on relationships, mom, dad, grandfather, brothers. One lesson is on colors, one lesson is on vegetables, one is on fruits, one is on making small sentences. So, it's not necessary that you have to, go from one. If you don't have the fun lesson, you can't go to the other lesson.
mhm,
And so they're very independent, very, very interactive, very, very self-explanatory. And if anybody sees the video also, he will be able to follow.
mhm. Wow. Yeah, I'll definitely take a listen to them. And it's helpful too that you don't have to necessarily put them in order or listen to them in a certain way, that they're all independent.
And the biggest thing, Mitali, they are
Mm,
free.
mm.
But they are
Yeah.
spoken Kashmiri. There are many platforms where you can learn Kashmiri, but you have to pay for it, and they are more structured with script. But I feel that right now, because none of us know the script, so we
Mhm,
are only teaching what we know. So we are saying, okay, let's just at least promote the spoken Kashmiri language.
mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll definitely have to take a listen. I think you also mentioned that your vision of the literacy drive with how much interest you've gotten from people outside of your zone, from outside zone 5, from people like places in Vancouver, um, and just across the nation. How exactly do you plan to expand that onto a nationwide level? And what do you think your vision for the literacy drive is going forward?
So my vision remains the same. I want to promote the language. I want to make it available to as many people who want to join the class as possible. So
Mhm,
the timing is also going to remain the same. It is bi-weekly Sunday at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. CST, and that is going to work for all the zones. It'll be 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. in all the zones, which kind of works. It's on Sunday. It is going to be half an hour or 45-minute class. It's the structure is half an hour, but it sometimes extends to 45 minutes. And that's the ample time. You cannot really concentrate on a language more than that. If you do 1 hour, 2 hours, kids kind of lose their train of thought.
yeah.
We already have the material that we have for now. Last 1 year, we have been running this class. We have the material. We are going to revise the material and take it just one level up. For
Mhm,
example, if we have colors, we are going to revise the colors again and then make short sentences using those words in colors with a little bit of, uh, punctuations and a little bit of, more phrases in it. So even if somebody wants to join the class and he has never joined the class before, it is not that it's going to be all strange for him. They will be able to start from the basics and then take it to the next level. For the cultural aspect of it as well, we have a different topics that are already there. For example, if you want, I'm doing a cultural class this Sunday, November 17th at 6 p.m. CST. It is because I'm an architect. I picked up vernacular architecture of Kashmir, which is design of Kashmiri homes, and
Oh,
based upon our culture, tradition, and the climate of Kashmir. So I will
mhm,
be talking about how homes were designed to make them self-sufficient and how the local materials were used. What was the plan of the houses? How did how did the spaces flow into each other?
mhm,
And different aspects like the roof, the small covered balconies. These are all based on our culture, tradition, and the climate of that place, and the local materials that were available. So I think we will pick topics like that so that our kids can know the real Kashmir, and
Mm-hmm.
they can really feel that they know it, just like this little boy who said, "Oh, I've already seen this temple. I know about it. I've seen the pictures." So
Mm-hmm.
we have different topics in line about the cultural class as well. So we are really, really excited about taking this nationwide. And I just hope and see that more and more people join these classes so that they can take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
nothing changes. My vision is the same. Promote the language, promote the culture, and take it nationwide, take it to as many people. And I'm not going to keep it just nationwide. If people from Canada want to join, because
Mm-hmm.
there are some people whose cousins and relatives are in Canada, they are hearing about it, I'm going to welcome them all.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's awesome to hear. I also have a special interest in Kashmiri architecture. I hear many times about how important the home was in our family, and our great great grandfather who built it, and I mean, unfortunately, it has been burned down now, but I think I'm extra motivated to listen to that lesson now as well, because I know that I'll be able to learn something more about, our culture.
It is very interesting. It is very interesting. The thing is that we use such local materials and local architecture that those houses were cool in the summer and warm in the winter
Mm-hmm.
without any air conditioning and without any heating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting to learn all that, the kids to know how
Mm-hmm.
people lived in the ancient, not ancient, but in the recent past, before we used electricity and power to heat ourselves. There were different methods, and the houses were like self-sufficient. And
Mm-hmm.
the climate was way extreme at that time. It has gotten warmer now. At that
Mm-hmm.
time, it used to start snowing in like sometimes in October, and it would last till like March, April. Right now, we in Srinagar itself, in the town, we would be lucky if we have 2 or 3 snowfalls in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So things have changed, but it's nice to know what the real architecture and real, how people lived at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be extra interested in learning and tuning in to that lesson. But yeah, no, this was, thank you so much, Anjana Ji, for all that you have said. I think this has been inspiring for me as well to hear more about your work. And I'm going to be coming and to your lessons on Sunday.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And get the word out, get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
The good part about our lessons was I was so excited when the youth took some of the classes. And I
Mm-hmm.
really want you to participate. Please spread the word out there. And I am really, really thankful and honored that you asked me to speak about my journey and about the initiatives in my zone.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to take even the elderly drive nationwide. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm being cautious, careful, taking baby steps, but we will get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was great to hear about. I'll be watching your work for sure too, and seeing how the literacy drive and elderly drive also pan out. Very inspirational for me too to get more involved in the community, put more efforts into learning the language, and then obviously with this platform, hopefully getting out the word to KOA youth as well that uh, services like this exist. People in our community are doing work to educate ourselves and learn more about our own culture, and I think it's amazing and very inspirational to hear about. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you also for coming on the podcast today, for taking some of your time. I know this week was very busy for you. There was a lot going on this week with elections, and I know it's a very tense atmosphere, but it's very much appreciated, and all the work that you do for Zone 5. and looking
Yeah.
forward to your work going forward as well.
Thank you so much, Mitali. Thank you for having me here. You can always count on me. Anything that you need, my time is for my community, and I would be happy to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you as well.